Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by...
For over 30 years, Vanguard Outdoors has made the gear that turns a regular hunt into another fine day of field. We know that a good shooting stick or a nice pair of binoculars can make or break your day. Our design teams include serious hunters who work hard to bring you the best sporting optics, shooting sticks, tripods, bags, and more. We are Vanguard Outdoors.
Hello everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Sialik and we've got an exciting show lined up for you this week. I'll take you out on Lake St. Clair for a morning of targeting multiple species of fish, and that's exactly what we got. You won't want to miss that adventure, and we've got a couple of other great stories lined up for you this week.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a couple more stories on this week's show. And if you caught the show last week, you got to see one of the most beautiful brown trout we've probably ever had on Michigan Out of Doors television. And on this week's show, we're going to sit down with that angler who's also an artist and kind of see his rendering of that fish. You won't want to miss that story. And this past weekend, I was able to spend some time with the big hounds over on the east side of the state doing a little water race. If you don't know what that is, you're going to learn all about it on this week's show. Lots of variety, lots of good stuff. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan Out of Doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by
Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988. Featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com.
The Michigan Charter Boat Association has provided education of the Great Lakes fishery for over 52 years. Information about Great Lakes fishing opportunities as well as captain advocacy can be found at michigancharterboats.com.
By Green Mark Equipment. Green Mark Equipment is a John Deere dealership network in southwest Michigan and northern Indiana. Green Mark provides sales and services to farmers, commercial businesses, large property owners, and homeowners. Information about pricing and products available can be found online at greenmarkequipment.com.
We're in Harrison Township, right near Metro Beach. We're going to go out right in L'Anse Creuse Bay here and troll crankbaits for the most part. We do have a couple crawler harnesses on board too, and hopefully get a multi-species plus walleye day. Went out last week primarily checking to see if the walleye were in yet, and we had quite a day. It was one after another, probably 35, 40 fish, multi-species, muskie, pike, bass, even catfish, which was kind of strange to get on our bandits, but.
And walleye?
And walleye. We did get our we got 8 walleye.
Nice.
So we're gonna have 8 lines, 4 per side, mostly crankbaits, but I'm gonna try on each side, we're gonna have a crawler harness too, just to see if they're in. It's a little early for crawler harnesses, but it may work. Coming over from the launch this morning, I could see the wind was south last night, and it's really kind of muddy here near the shore. So we'll go out until it cleans up a little bit, try and find 12 feet or so, and start trolling right there.
Many anglers here in Michigan have moved from using what may be considered a traditional fishing boat to a cushy yet well-equipped pontoon fishing boat like Dennis's Angler Quest boat we are using today.
I've had 5. I had a Starcraft, a Lund, a Crestliner, and a Ranger, and I absolutely love this one the best out of all of them. So maybe it's because of I like trolling now, and it's the best troller. So yeah, and my wife Lori, she definitely likes this boat better than my other my other 4 that she didn't spend a whole lot of time on. They were smaller and they bounced around the lake, and this one's a lot more comfortable.
Got something, Dennis?
It's something. Hopefully it's not a clump of seaweed. But, yeah, I see it back there. I think it's acting like a walleye. Could be usually if it's a bass, it'll flop. But.
This is a pike. I was gonna say that's not a walleye mouth. All right, nice. Okay.
Pike.
Cool. Our first fish. The first fish of the morning ended up being a nice little Lake St. Clair pike, and not the walleye Dennis originally thought he had on. But we were out here to target multiple species, so Dennis and Matt were happy to catch and release this first species of the day. And right on the heels of the pike, Dennis connected with another species.
Go.
Just like that, 2 fish, 2 species.
And my inside board's going now.
Are you gonna let Matt bring one in?
I'm content, as long as I don't box you that job.
Yeah. Don't knock them off.
That's another big one.
Most anglers trolling Lake St. Clair here in the springtime are focused on catching walleye, and that bite will be heating up here very soon. The next rod to go off in Dennis's setup did end up producing one of those tasty sport fish.
Here we go.
Woo! That's happening in a flurry. Yeah, what do we got here?
Left side bolt's on fire.
17 and a half. Okay, let them go.
What's happening on your side?
Well, 3 for 3 on the net job, so I haven't knocked anything off yet, which is promising.
Dennis kind of set your boards up right in the stream of sunlight, right?
Yeah, you know, I think there's some strategy there, keeping mine out in the sun, making them a little bit harder to see, but we'll see if the right side will pick up a little bit.
Matt says he enjoys spending time on the water with his buddy Dennis whenever he can.
It's always been a good time. He always puts us on the fish. Learn a lot. I'm kind of just getting into, you know, I guess fishing in my own boat and stuff like that. So trying to pick up tips and you know, anything I can. I grew up fishing with my dad, and since then now I fish a lot with my son who's getting older. I just like being outdoors in general. You know, even if I wasn't reeling something in, it'd be nice to just be on the boat and be outside.
Yeah, I originally mentioned that we would try some crawler harnesses, but then we came on the boat and I noticed I left them in the refrigerator, so Lori will be happy when she opens the refrigerator for lunch. I've only fished Lake St. Clair probably the last 3 years, very rarely before that, but it's definitely a multi-species lake, and it's a gem. I love living here. And you can catch, like today, you know, bass, pike. Last week got a muskie trolling, and of course walleye, which is always my first intent. But yeah, it's great. I fish right off the dock here and catch largemouth and other small panfish, and it's a great place.
So Dennis, what do you love about doing this?
Honestly, I don't know. I was telling you earlier, my buddy Billy, 33 some years ago, took me out fishing, and all I did was puke on the boat the first time. But somehow I got hooked, and I've been doing it ever since. And just being on the water, I guess.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you spent a lot of time on Lake St. Clair?
No.
No?
No. Not since I moved here 3 years ago, yes, but I used to avoid Lake St. Clair. I always fished downriver in the Detroit River or Lake Erie or St. Clair River or Lake Huron. I always had smaller boats, and that chop on this lake that's always there, just always jarring, and I just didn't like it. Looks like we got a fish.
All right.
All right, let me go grab this.
It's always a good problem to have when an interview is interrupted by another fish on. Dennis and Matt continued to connect with more smallmouth bass and walleye this morning and took advantage of the conditions before the wind picked up and became too much to fight with the electric trolling motor. Everything they caught today went back into the water, and the fish were hitting at a good pace, making for a perfect morning.
Dennis is, I think, reeling in the 11th or 12th fish today, so can't really tell as of yet what it is, but we're getting close here. Board's underneath the water, and hopefully it's something impressive.
Nice, we came to your walleye spot, hey?
Yeah. Hopefully get a few more.
Beauty. The guys did end up with a few more bass before calling it quits this morning. All in all, Lake St. Clair treated us well today, giving up pike, smallmouth, and some dandy walleyes. If you're looking for a place that always seems to have something on the bite, be sure to hit the waters of Lake St. Clair this spring and summer. It's just another one of our beautiful gems here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
For our next segment on this week's show, I'm going to do a follow-up to the segment I did last week where I was able to tag along with an angler for a day of trout fishing. On that episode, we happened to catch a giant brown trout, and on this week's show, we're going to bring you a really cool way to preserve that memory.
Oh, good fish, dude. Oh my God. God. Monster. It's a monster. There's a 25.
On last week's show, I was able to highlight an angler who loves to fish for trout. But that's not his only passion. He's also an artist. So after our day on the water, I was able to meet back up with him to learn a little more about his artwork.
Today we're going to work on a sculpture that's hand-drawn and hand-cut out of aluminum. But what I like to start with is like my soapstone pencil, so that's my layout tool. But we're gonna just get a rough outline of the piece we're working on, and then from there we'll go to the cutting process. But this is a pretty neat step. It's like the beginnings of it all. So we're gonna tie this into the fishing segment or portion of the show where we were out streamer fishing and had just a gorgeous brown come out and take the streamer. So we're gonna recreate that out of metal. My dad turned me on to the metal, pierced metal art when I was 16, so that was like 23 years ago. But my dad was a sign crafter and kind of just a really talented artist growing up, and he did that as a living, so I was always around art and that creative scene, helping my pops with signage and stuff. But as a young teenager, I was always into art as a kid. My parents would hand me some colored pencils or crayons at a young age. I would just be content for hours just sketching wildlife art. And anytime I could check out like a Nat Geo movie or film, I was just glued to that. But so art has just been a big part of my life since I was just a little kid. But as far as the kind of the pierced metal art stuff, that came in my mid-teens. And one of the first projects I got to work on was the Bonefish Grill project, and it's now like a franchise or chain restaurant, but they started out in Florida, and became really popular, but that was where I feel like we really started developing this style and of pierced metal art. But from that point, I mean, we've been doing this all by hand. They start out as sketches just like this, and then we cut them with a plasma torch. And I love it. I mean, it's essentially drawing with fire.
The sketch itself was a piece of artwork, but the process was really just getting started. And next up, it was time to do some cutting.
We've got the layout finished up. And so the next step is to cut this bad boy out. And again, we're going to be doing all of this by hand, like freehand cutting. So it requires a really steady hand, just really fluid movements, and because we have a lot of detail in this art piece, and there's also some really skinny lines like the fly rod, the fly line, and then a lot of these interior cutouts. So it's pretty cool. You'll see it just come to life once I start cutting these pieces away. Definitely feel like what sets my pierced metal art aside from others is that each piece is an original. It's hand drawn, hands cut, and I'm not reproducing this work. Really want my art to inspire people to be outside, to get in the elements more, and appreciate what we have around us. Like, nature is such a huge part of my life, and it's a huge part of humanity. Like, if we're not out enjoying that and taking care of it, it could slip away. So I'm hoping my art inspires others to see it in that same or in a similar light. All right, so we just got the sculpture cut out. Everything went really well. No miscuts or anything. So the next step to this, which is nearing the end, is to grind all the surface to clean up all the cut lines and burrs. And then I like to do a more refined kind of burnishing technique that allows more shading and really starts making the art look dimensional. So that'll be the second to last step, and then I like to lightly shape and form the art once it's all polished up. Just wrapping this piece up today. Love how it turned out. So the inspiration for this piece was from a recent trip we took and got on some really nice trout. This particular fish was the highlight of the trip for sure. And so that's what I did, is just use that as inspiration to showcase my artwork here. And yeah, my work ranges from a lot of wildlife, marine life art, to sign work, to anything really. I mean, it's pretty wide open, but definitely love making the fish art for sure.
Watching Caleb work throughout the day was pretty incredible. A process that most people couldn't replicate if they had to, almost seemed like second nature to him. It's great to see someone so passionate about the outdoors excelling in other areas of life. Thanks to Caleb for inviting me out. What a fun day here in West Michigan.
Well, we are going to switch gears and do something a little bit different on this week's show. We're going to show you what a water race looks like for the big hounds. I was able to take part in that at the Great Northern Raccoon Club in Chesaning, Michigan. It was a ton of fun. Just this past weekend, I made my way to Chesaning, Michigan for a rather unique event. The Great Northern Raccoon Club was having a water race. What is a water race, you may ask? Well, you're gonna see. I was able to run down the president of the club to learn more about what all was going on here today with the Big Hounds.
We're in Chesaning, Michigan, the Great Northern Raccoon Club.
And how long has this club been around?
Since the early 60s.
Really?
Yes.
And how often do you guys get together?
We have like 30 hunts a year, night hunts, not counting squirrel hunts and water races. So there's over 30 night hunts and competition hunts here through the year.
How many members you guys have?
50 right now.
Okay. And explain what's going on here today for somebody.
Today we're having a water race, and they'll put them in heats.
Okay.
I'm really not that good with the water races because I do the night hunts, and then the ones that were first place are in A division, then they'll have B, C, and D divisions, and then now they're going to swim the pond. They'll have first line and first tree. Those will be your winners, and they'll divide up. Sometimes dog crosses the line first, doesn't get treed first.
Okay.
You know, so.
And you got people from all over.
Yes, yeah, I don't know where half of them are from. All these are bear dogs, you know. You know, there are probably a couple coon dogs in here, but most of them are bear dogs.
So how this all works is the dogs are supposed to stay in the water and chase the foam bear decoy that has a bear skin on it. If the dog leaves the water, they are disqualified. First dog to make the line gets points. First dog that barks while treeing the bear gets points as well. I was able to talk with Don Morris to ask him how he got into this here today.
When I would get up in the morning, my dad would tell my brother and me that he said, well, there's snow on the ground. You guys want to leave the car home or you take off from school, leave the old car home, and you guys can go hunting. So I never learned anything about fishing, so I learned everything about hunting. And as far as dogs, I hunt anything with dogs.
Okay.
I don't enjoy deer hunting, even though I go, because I don't like to go lean against a tree and wait for an animal to come by. I just turn the dog loose and listen to the dogs. That's all I want to do.
Getting to hear from Don, who is 85, you get a sense of what kind of a family atmosphere they have at these events.
It's Matt Rubel. We've been together probably off and on with our dads and hunting for how long? 50 years, 60 years. Go ahead, Matt.
About 59. Yeah, I came here with my dad and his dad and him when I was a little boy.
Really?
Yep.
Are you running a dog today?
Yep.
Okay.
5 of them.
5 of them?
Yeah.
And what kind of dogs you got?
I got Plot hounds and I have 1 tree and walker.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. And is there quite a few of these races then throughout the spring and summer? Or when
Yep. They have one pretty much every weekend somewhere, you know.
Somewhere. We had one last weekend in Millington.
Okay.
And weekend before was Lapeer.
Really?
Millington again next weekend.
Yep.
And Crump.
Crump is next weekend too.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a big event.
Okay.
Real big.
Nice.
Yep.
So what do you like about this coon hunting and bear hunting and running dogs?
Just chase, you know, it's not about killing, it's just about chasing the bear, making sure our hounds are doing what we want them to do.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
It gets exciting, especially when you get to take somebody new that hasn't ever seen it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Of course, at just about every dog event I have been to, you have to watch out for the puppy pen, because at just about every dog event, someone leaves with a dog they didn't know they needed. After the first round or so, the group stops the water race for the treeing competition. Here, the dog is timed to see how many barks it has in the allotted time, and the most barks, well, that's the winner. I was also able to talk with one of the younger dog handlers here today. All right, tell me the name of this dog.
Banjo.
Banjo. And what kind of a dog is he?
Walker.
A walker, okay. And what do you like about coming to these events?
I like the swimming and how we can tree.
Yeah?
It.
Awesome. And I heard you have a little squirrel dog at home? Did you get out and do some hunting too?
Uh-huh.
Nice. And how old are you?
6.
6. And what's your name?
Brady.
Well, thanks for being here today, Brady. There was quite a few kids today, lots of families, and many women dog handlers here as well. It was a really fun event, and I learned a lot. The water race had several heats still to run once the treeing competition was done, and the club had a nice clubhouse that was serving lunch, so many of us headed in there, and I was told I needed to try the Raccoon burrito. So I made my way in and was able to get a first-hand look at this famous burrito. Let's just say that we were all a little hesitant. All right, you got to give me a taste test.
Oh boy. You're right. It is really good.
Nice.
You just can't think about it. No, you just the more you chew it, the more you think about it.
Well, it was pretty good, and yes, it was best to not think about it. Everyone had fun today from age 85 to young Brady at age 6. If you're looking for a fun and different way to spend a weekend, or even just part of it, these water races and hunts that the club puts on are great. The big hounds are fun to hear, and whether they are here or chasing a bear, the houndsmen of our state are something we will hopefully have for years to come, right here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
Thank you so much for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you come back in upcoming weeks. We've got a lot of great springtime action headed your way. We'll get you back out in the turkey woods. We'll do a little bit of bow fishing and some more dog trials to share with you. If you'd like to see where we are and what we're up to, you can always check us out online.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Online is a good way to kind of keep track of us. You can do that through our website, our different social media platforms, as well as YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel there. Get an email every time we post something new, and there should be a lot of new stuff coming over the next several weeks. So as always, if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully you'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by...
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
By Alta Equipment Company, providing sales, rentals, service, and parts because uptime matters. From earth moving to landscaping and light construction, Alta offers over 50 brands across 7 Michigan locations to serve you. More information online or 844-GO-2-ALTA.
Closed captioning brought to you by Double D Ranch Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3 foundation working to make hunting and fishing accessible for those with disabilities.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbows.